NASA chief says the next person on the moon will be a woman. Mission July 18, 2024, 2019. NASA chief Jim Bridenstine said he believes the next person on the moon will be a woman. He also warned that space is getting more and more dangerous with some nations intent on destroying it. NASA chief says the next person on the moon will be a woman. Mission 2024. NASA chief: the next person on the moon will be a woman. Bridenstine said that the planned U.S. Space Force, which President Donald Trump wants to become the sixth branch of the U.S. military, should dissuade countries that believe they will get an advantage by destroying space. Recommended by the U.S., Russia, China and, most recently, India, all successfully demonstrated the ability to take satellites out of space. In an interview with Sky News to mark the 50th anniversary of landing on the moon, Mr. Bridenstine, NASA administrator, said there are countries around the world that believe they will gain an advantage by destroying space. But people need to know this: you will not have an advantage over the United States destroying space. And to the extent that we have a Space Force, it's to make sure we properly convince people that they will not gain an advantage by destroying space, so they will not make those investments. This is the goal, so that space can be preserved for humanity, for science, for exploitation, for commerce. U.S. politicians have expressed concern about the threat posed by Chinese hackers targeting satellites. In the 2018 report, the Washington-based think tank, the Center for Strategic and International Studies, warned that China is arguably the fastest rising power and made rapid progress in developing its space and counter space. He further said that country tested direct rise weapons, robotics in orbit, and remote proximity operations. Reports indicate that China is also developing and testing targeted energy and interference technologies. In a Sky News interview, Bridenstine spoke about his focus on the Artemis mission of putting American astronauts on the moon by 2024 and then going to Mars. He said, "When we think of how we got to the moon, we tried to return to the moon several times since the Apollo era, and it always fails. The question is why. We do not fail because of the technical risk, we fail because of the political risk." So when a program lasts 15 years, you have the change of administration, the change of Congress, budgets change, priorities change, you never reach the final state. And then what the president said is that we're going to accelerate the way, so we're going in 5 years, we go ahead and do this. Accelerating, we've retired the political risk. NASA's ambition is to put the first woman on the moon in 2024. Asked if a female astronaut would be the first of his team to step on the surface, Mr. Bridenstine replied, "I imagine the next person we walk on the moon will be a woman." NASA is partnering with private industry and believes that in the future there will be a space economy based on mining, tourism and research. When Bridenstine was asked if he considered that NASA could be paving the way for humans to make mistakes when it comes to the exploitation of natural resources in space as they did on Earth, he said, "I think that when it comes to the resources of the moon, this is what will drive the commercial industry and the development of space. This is what led people to come to the United States and then expand to the West, and in the end lead the expansion of humanity into our own solar system. So, no, I do not see it as counterproductive, I see it as very productive." But it is absolutely true that there is a regulatory part for this that has not yet been developed, and we have to get it right. Eventually, NASA wants to send humans to Mars. Bridenstine said, "There are complex organic compounds on Mars, the building blocks of life exist on Mars. They do not exist on the moon, they exist on Mars. It does not mean there is life there, I do not know, nor anyone, but we must find out." Now we know that there is liquid water at 12 kilometers below the surface of Mars, where water is protected from deep space radiation. What do we know about liquid water on Earth? Wherever it exists, there is life. Does that mean there is life on Mars? I do not know, but the probability has risen again. I think there may come a day when we will find life in another world, and when that happens, I think this must be done by the United States leading a coalition of free nations, and that is what we are trying to achieve.